What's up, man? Oh, he's not on yet. What's up? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Great, man.
Awesome, man. We're recording, just so you're aware. You probably heard that, but so we started to get into conversation. I thought it'd be good to maybe record it and go from there. So I'm Joshua Cameron. This is my buddy Dathan Benton. We met in the Army many moons ago. Back in 2001, sometime January, right? Does that sound about right?
2002 January.
Sorry, that's what I meant. 2002. That's what I meant. 2002. My fault. Yeah, because we deployed in September of 2001, and so we met. Have known each other for a long time. I think I talked to you once after, I don't know, it was a recent deployment or something, dude. You were so excited to talk to me, dude. It was like, it was very moving, man. I was like, man, this guy, man, I really like this guy. And we recently reconnected. I've got some exciting news for me. I am going to be running for Utah State Senate. And I feel like my diverse background will really give me an advantage to really help working class folk. I know what it is to be working class in nearly every dimension. And I'd be interested, within your background, right? Maybe stoic frame of mind, as well as 21 years in the military. And, your, I guess, um, kind of simple, if you will, way of life, right? You don't really, live and extract, and just kind of, I'd be interested to see if you can pick apart where you think that maybe on paper, maybe my ideas are dumb. Maybe we can discuss that. We can discuss whether you think my ideas are cool, where they go from there. And then, let's also discuss your background, and also kind of like what your what your goals are, because even if you are not involved in anything crazy right now. I mean, dude, there's elections every year, man, every year, and we need people who have a sound mind, um, and who aren't going to be moved by, uh, a bunch of people who have no idea what they're talking about. Demand that you quit using a word, or demand that you use a word, whatever that is, right? You seem very well centered in your beliefs, right? And I think we need people who really understand what it is they think, what it is they know, and then focus on, hey, well, how do I then take that to how do I represent people within my district, right? At least, if nothing else, on that which where we all have overlapping values, which is like we're all human, right? So we all need to put food on the table. We all need to pay our bills. We all, none of us want to die, right? Because it's snowing outside. Well, maybe not right now, but it's cold outside. Um, and we don't want to succumb to the elements. And we all want to feel loved, right? At some level, we all want to feel. We all want to be part of some community. I don't think that's unreasonable at all, at all. And so from there, what are your thoughts?
I mean, you pretty much said it, I mean, like me, I think that, we're born, we reproduce, and we die.
Yep.
Just like any other animal or any other species that's a living thing on this planet. That's our
Hmm.
sole purpose while we're here, is to reproduce, to add to uh, the human species, on a DNA level. You know, I heard something, I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically, a man who knows everything uh, contributes nothing to mankind versus an idiot who reproduces. Like what have you
Mm.
contributed? You know, and
Interesting.
and that's not as great black. That's not as black and white as it appears. Obviously, one man can, in that case, you'd say like, what's the gentleman that was handicapped and couldn't move his body, but still,
Stephen Hawking.
yes, had a
Yeah,
great.
that guy was amazing.
And to say he didn't contribute to mankind would be, just absurd.
Yeah.
So,
But I think that Stephen Hawking is the exception to the rule, and I think
right,
that
right.
just because he's an exception doesn't mean that the rule isn't still valid.
And I think that's where, like, as a society, kind of where we're going against nature.
Hmm.
Like, nature has its rules, and then obviously there are those outliers.
Hmm.
Those things that kind of like, well, this isn't supposed to happen. But nature is only going to let it happen for so long before nature says, all right, enough of this shit.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is if we don't have enough kids, society is going to collapse, man. And so I probably say what?
I think we have too many kids.
What, dude? Believe it or not, statistically, right now, uh, Americans, as data reported by Sagar and Jetty on Breaking Points, probably my favorite news show. He said that Americans are at 1.7 right now, 1.7 kids per family, and they want to be at something closer to 2.5. So we are well under what we want to be. We're not even at replacement right now. We're under replacement. And so like the problem is that we deride jobs, but we need people in jobs. The problem is that we often underpay jobs, so then it's like this soul sucking hellscape of an existence that's robbing you of like meaningful time from your family
You
and
end up
not
working
even
to live.
putting food on the table, right?
Yeah, you end up working to live, not living. Living to work, not working to live.
Yeah, man.
The sole purpose of being here is to work
Yeah,
and to feed the machine.
right.
So
And
that's what I want to ask you, real quick, if I can.
yeah, go for it.
One thing I hate about statistics, some statistics, is like, you mentioned that how we are under reproducing.
Hmm.
Yeah. But if we're going to farm and breed these babies, what is the purpose that we're giving these babies? You know what I mean? Because, like I say, I just think we currently now we have more people than we can feed, and to be honest, we
Dude,
have.
no, not dude. We produce so much more food than people even on this planet. We burn food, man, in order to
Uh,
make sure we can still turn a profit. The same way that like Dolce and Gabbana will burn coats and
you
stuff
see,
in order to make sure it's still
so
valuable.
right, and the thing right there, turning a profit. That's why it's a no-win. This is a no-win fight, man.
Well,
Because in a
yeah, go
damn
ahead.
profit,
Sorry. Hmm.
because everything is about turning a profit. And so I think, you know, and not to say that it's hopeless. I think just as an individual, it's like my life isn't centered on a profit. You know what I mean? It,
So I
I,
I I
I
I
just need.
disagree that turning a profit in itself is somehow um, incongruent with a well-functioning society. And I think that while China is not where I'd want to live or how I'd want to live, the idea that they're very dynastically thinking, right, and like generational thoughts, right, and how do we go ahead and suffer now to very stoic, right, in order to have a better future. That's something that we don't have now, man. We have quarterly profits. How do we let's take something that a lot of people are very familiar with, people are our age, KB Toys and Toys R Us, right here
Mhm.
in Utah. We got Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney works for Bain Capital. He's known for kissing the steps of Bain Capital. And so Bain Capital takes a well functioning business. They start selling off parts of it to liquidate in order to turn a profit and sell it off to shareholders, because their business model means they have no responsibility but to give their shareholders more profit. Meanwhile, all the workers, right? So maybe there's a handful of shareholders, but all the workers there now are losing their retirement. They thought they had a job for the rest of their lives, and just tossed out on their can. And then now here are businesses that just dry up for nothing more than to feed the coffers of these vampires at the highest level of our social order that are parasitic in nature. And I don't think that it's impossible to, instead of being parasitic, that we can be symbiotic. That I don't think it's impossible to think 20-year profits and to make billionaires outrageously more money while also giving people more money, because people want to breed. people want to buy things, and if you give them money to buy things, they're going to buy things,
I
man.
have a question. I have a
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
So what can you do? Say if I'm a citizen of Utah and I'm one of your constituents.
sure.
Given what you just said, what makes you any different?
Sure, man. Well, by
Me?
myself, what can I do? Nothing, man. Other like I can't like legislate executively by myself, but what I can do is I can speak the way that I speak. I can command authority with the way that I speak. I can capture people's attentions. And dude, I'm not afraid. I mean, I've got years and years and years of time out on the streets,
What power? What power?
raising a
What
ruckus when I need to, speaking up on important issues when I need to. So if I'm actually in a position of power, then it's not a matter of like, hey, here's just some dipshit there who's yelling on the streets. Now it's like, hey, here's a senator who's raising important issues that are overlapping, right? There was a Fox News national poll, man, and love it or hate it, right? Love it or hate it. This is as democratic as it gets. It was a national poll. People could vote however they wanted, and it was put on by again Fox News saying, what's your favorability on government-run healthcare? And there was like a 73% favorability. This was back in 2020, I think. I'm pretty sure it's 2020, maybe in
oh,
2021. But like we're going through a pandemic, of course, of course. I mean, that only makes sense. And so
but
talking and these starting from that point of what makes us human. Let's talk about these values where we overlap. Let's figure out where there's policy, right? Some sort of government assistance within healthcare when we live in a pandemic, right? How do we get people who are succumbing on the streets out of the cold, and not just shove them into a homeless shelter where they don't want to be in the first place because they're even less safe. Anyway, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
how are you giving your constituents power? Because, and let me ask you this,
Hmm.
because I think, in Western society, we're being told to put our faith
Uh,
in something else other than ourselves from the time we come into this world,
sure.
be it some form of a higher power,
Yep.
politicians,
Yep.
everybody is saying what they can do for us.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
as someone, how could you make me feel empowered as an American instead of me sitting back waiting for Mother America to put her titty in my mouth? You know, how can I feel empowered that I can vote for this guy because this dude is he's not saying wait
Sure.
around for me.
Okay.
He's saying
Sure.
wait around for me, but in the
Yeah.
meantime,
I love it.
this is
Okay.
this
So,
is what you can do.
um, I think my answer to that is again my ability to bridge build. I would not be over Utah County, specifically Lehi, Utah, is the tech startup capital of the US. It's about 40 miles away from where I live. I have no problem making friends with people. And this is where we start leveraging the fact that, hey, we're Utahns, man. Yeah, I get that we're Americans first. We're also Utahns right here. If we're the tech startup of America, we're pushing out. Like we're pushing out families, man. We're pushing out families so people from out of state can come in and outrageously just jack up real estate prices.
That's
And
like
so like
Utah.
hold on. So it's a matter of networking. So we can't talk over each other or else it's going to sound terrible on the recording. Um, and so with this, it's a matter of networking, cross channeling, working like, dude, I've been a lefty. I understand what it is to be very strong working class, while still suspicious of authoritarian socialism for sure. I understand what it is to be a God-fearing Republican. I speak both languages, and I have no problem using my diplomatic skills in order to make sure that my fellow Utahns are not going to be raked over the coals just so some corporate business owners can again turn into this vampiric structure, man. Like, maybe color me Van Helsing. Like, this is not cool. Like, this is not cool at all. And so you're out of your damn mind if you don't think that I would raise a stink, and a stink I can raise, man. And so therein lies, how can I empower you by negotiating to every fiber of my being to make sure that your pocketbook says, hey, look at Joshua Cameron is at work. So you have objective evidence to show that, hey, these guys are going to feed back into the community. How, like, we can negotiate how that's going to be, maybe pay raises, right? Like, let's make sure that we can stop the stock buybacks, which should be illegal, maybe are illegal, but just nobody's held accountable. Maybe we can figure out a way to have profit sharing with people. Like, come on, like, these are Utahns. Like, you came here, you know, we're here on our land. I totally understand how silly that sounds, being a white dude saying on our land, living in Utah, right, with the Utes. Um, but I have no control over what happened hundreds of years ago. But our land, man, our people. Let's work together. And then on top of that, speaking of Utah, right, my people have not been so good about holding up our end of the bargain of social contracts with Native Americans, man. And it's time to redeem that, man. It's time to redeem the spirit of my father, who has not been very good. And it's time to figure out how to come together, man. Because we need to figure out, like, that's ultimately what we need most, is somebody who can love his fellow man to such a degree that I'm not going to get easily offended, because we need to work together or we're going to rip ourselves apart. And that's what I hope to bring. That's the sense of empowerment I hope to bring. Not only that, but a sense of self transformation within yourself, man. Because I've done it, man. I've done it. I've tapped into this goodness. People probably call that God. Is it God? Maybe. I don't know what I really think of that. I've been raised secular, but I see that where I'm good, where I do good and I am good. And as I do good, if God is good, well, God lives in that goodness. And if I reside where that goodness is, but dude, my my income has been quintupled within, because as I tapped into this goodness, man, I started following these visions that I started getting as I meditated on this goodness. As I took action on these goodness, this could only be described of what Socrates said is what helped him be, his truest and best self. And my God, man, my God, it's incredible. It's
I think
incredible.
that's the only way to go through life without having any regrets.
No regrets.
No
No.
regrets is
Yeah.
to do something just purely out of kindness and out of goodness, and even if
Yep.
it doesn't work out in your favor, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Well, and so, like, if I can, I mean, what is it, dude? We say this stuff all day long, right? Love thy neighbor as thyself, but, like, we don't do that. We're all made in the image of God, but we don't think that.
I do.
I mean, I do. I'm saying we, the
I
royal
know.
we.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We as in general.
Yeah. And so, but if I'm a divine creature, and you're a divine creature, that means that we're trading divine particles right now, man. And I think if we stop to understand that and appreciate that, there's no difference between you and me. You've got a family, same as I do. You've got the same needs that I do. And I think that if we can find a way to bridge those needs in a nonpartisan way. Granted, I understand that I'm a registered Republican. Um, I feel like they're more democratic in process than the Democrats, which is ironic as it gets as far as the nomenclature goes. Um, but I
They
feel.
did swap before.
Go ahead. What did you say?
They did swap before. Maybe it's just going back the way shit's supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah, maybe, man.
Maybe
And yeah, it
the
swapped before back in the what 20s, and 1920s. And so yeah, so what else can I bring, right? So I served 4 years in the Army. I was in one of the most active combat support hospitals in the world as far as going to, like, deployments and training. I mean, hell, man, I graduated from my training at Fort Sam Houston as a combat medic in June of 2000. By September of 2000, I was going to Fort Polk to go train there in Leesville, Louisiana. We had people just coming back from Ecuador, I think. I think there was a big earthquake. There was some earthquake in Central America, and we had people just coming back from there. Um, and so that was a deployment that just happened. We're going to JRTC because we know we're going to get orders to go to Kosovo. I don't know how we know that. I don't know what sort of like that negotiation, because we didn't actually get those orders until March of 2001. That said, congratulations, September 19th, 2001. You're going to Kosovo, because surely what could happen in September of 2001? Man, that was weird, right? For 8 days, dude, the most psychologically damaging, I think, thing that's ever happened to me is 8 days of CNN on the radio nonstop. Like, you were in a different company than I was. Right? I was in medical company, and you were HSC, is that right? So
I
what
was in the
was
medical detachment, preventive medicine detachment.
Okay, yeah, that's right. And so we had CNN on the radio. That's just the same. It's the same damn thing, dude, on repeat over and over, just a different voice all day long. Just pumping into my brain that this just happened. Muslims attacked us. Be scared, Whitey. Muslims attacked you, Whitey. And then here I am deploying to a Muslim nation, man. What does that even mean? While I was there, I fell out of love with the church, which was really strange for me. So I fell in love with the New Testament Christian church, some pretty awesome people. They were great. They had venom dripping from their veins or from their fangs whenever it was talking about gay people. Gay people were like, the worst thing that could ever happen. Hey, never mind the fact that I vote for people that drop bombs on children across the world. You like to put a penis in your mouth. You're the worst thing ever. Like, dude, grow up. Just grow up, man. Just grow up. And so I fell out of love with the church. I thought that meant I fell out of love of God. So here I am in Kosovo in this weird exploration of like, how do I find greatness, right? I just lost my attachment to greatness. And then Sergeant Allen so Staff Sergeant Allen, right, tall white dude, with Captain Tibbets, right? He tracks me down, found out that I could drive in really weird conditions, really squelching Louisiana mud, snow, whatever. And there's tons of snow, right? Kosovo is very similar to Utah, high elevation, lots of snow. So we had to put chains on our vehicles a lot. We'd go and actually recon where these villages and hamlets were, so we could actually go give free medical aid and medical services to kids, man. And dude, we went to an Albanian town. And Albanians at this point, as you probably know, but somebody listening may not, were rescued from genocide from the Serbians, right? Whether we should have gotten involved or not, we rescued people from genocide. And so I show up, man, and these kids are losing their minds. Just, "Ah, Americans, ah!" Dude, just, I don't know, man. That was so strange to me. So I volunteered all my time to do that, to volunteer. I mean, how do you, I mean, how do you even deal with that sort of reaction? Especially if you're just a regular dude. And then how do you not want to get in on that as much as possible? I was like the only person who would like volunteer to go do this. And then it got to the point where the Captain Tibbets would bribe me with 3 El Presidente Cubanos, because there's no embargo in Kosovo. So we'd buy a lot of Cuban cigars, and I thought I was a badass just smoking cigars out in my sea hut. It was great. So I think that's something I can bring. I've drove a lot of vehicles in the military. I eventually got a CDL living here in Utah. I drove over the road for several months. I got a job with Halliburton. After that, I lost my job because of the great oil bust that hit in late 2014. Lost my job in early 2015, along with thousands of other people, because them oil execs need to make sure they still get their bonuses, and screw thousands and thousands of other people. Screw the fact that, oh, you got Christmas bills, well, go fuck yourself, right? And so, yeah, man, we live in a time that we're gross. We're very gross to people. I was working in Vernal, Utah, which was uh, it was the fastest growing city in the US. And now we have the fastest growing, tech startup in the US. And so Utah's known for this, man. But these guys don't care, right? When the oil bust happened, Halliburton all just shipped up, man, fired everyone. Well, that means every other business that was propping up to serve these guys, the boot barns, the little shopping malls, right, the strip malls, all of them went belly up too. Well, who helps them, man? Who helps all these working class people that are just there, that are now just these decayed husks that have been sucked dry by these vampires, man? And so, yeah, in what meaningful capacity I can, in what naive dipshittery way I can, I hope to be able to attack this, man, because we systemically are gross, and ideas take fire. And if there's any ideas that can take fire, I think they're ideas that can come from somebody who can speak as poetically as I can. And that's what I hope to bring, is my philosophical way of mind. Ludwig Wittgenstein said philosophy is a battle against the bewitchment of our minds, um, or a bewitchment of our intelligence by means of language. And so I hope to add an inoculant, a thought inoculant, because certainly we need it right now. When we have people saying, "I am science, I will not be questioned," right? Certainly we need a thought inoculant. You said a meaning word, you better die, right? You better lose your job, and better be ostracized from. Man, like, it's just gross. It's gross the way we treat people. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, where to start? Whew, where would you like me to start? My thoughts on what specifically? Because you said a lot.
I said a whole lot. Said a whole lot. So, what are your thoughts on just somebody who's got a background, who earnestly wants to help? What are your thoughts on? Does that sound like it answers your question in
I
the
think.
sense of
Well,
how do I add to your sense of empowerment as a constituent?
I think. With your time in the military, you probably for sure came across a few leaders that you're like, you know what, man, that's a good ass dude, or that's a good ass girl right there. Like
Yep.
they're
Yep.
phenomenal. I love, something different from them and the rest.
Yep.
Some of them seem to be going along to get along.
Yep.
And this guy or girl, they overlap, but they still seem to stand, you know, on their own, right? And I'm sure there are certain traits, certain characteristics, certain attributes that this person possessed that made them such a fantastic, leader. And my favorite thing was people say, whether as an employee or as a leader, Dathan, what's your best ability? Availability.
Yeah.
That, I may not have the answer, but I will be available to let
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
I guess, so that's one of my biggest, I don't want to say peeves, but it's just things to be self-aware of. When I'm in a leadership position, is availability, because I never wanted my soldiers to go to another NCO about a problem
Hmm.
or something good. I wanted to be the first person, when they
Yeah.
needed a leader for good
Mhm.
stuff or bad stuff. If you were my soldier, I want them to come to me. So there's kind of a way where, I guess you got to figure out and break down the different demographics within your constituents so that you can meet them on a uniquely personal level and relate to them as individuals. When you look out
I like
into
that.
the forest,
I
you
like
look
that a
out
lot.
into the forest, you got to be able to see the trees in the
Mhm.
forest, and no pine trees from
Yep.
willows and oaks, and see
Yes.
the people
Yes.
for who they are, and to be able to reach them and provide to them according to their unique needs. Just because they're all trees don't mean they need the same thing. So see the trees in the forest.
So I like that, and I've been thinking a lot about, we have so many cowards who run for office, that are asked just stupid questions that are like, "What about these people? Would you support these people?" It's like, well, I mean, what does that mean? If somebody like, Richard Spencer, for instance, that guy's gross, right? His philosophy is gross. He's a white nationalist. If he voted for me, would I like tell him that like, how dare you? Like, no, man. Like, I don't remember anywhere in the Constitution where it says if you have shitty ideas, you're no longer an American. Like, I'm pretty sure that we have. Yep. What's up?
Is there a way? Is it effective? You know, racist and unethical and immoral type shit aside. But is there a way for a politician to really say, you know what, I can support everyone? You know,
That's what I hope to do, man. That's what I hope to do. And so I hope
if
I
you're a tree hugger, I have bring something to the table for you. If you're big oil or whatever, I can bring something. You know, there. You know, we got to come to a time where there's no, all or nothing. You know, because we're all in this together. You know,
well,
if
I
I,
mean,
you
dude,
know, if
white
I,
nationalists, white
Mhm,
nationalists are they're gangs, man. You know,
mhm.
they're really not that much different than say Bloods, Crips, right? MS-13, whatever, man. You give people jobs that pay them well, and you know what? Chances are they're gonna find themselves not wanting to be very violent because they're gonna find themselves with something to lose. And I think that if we can actually help people as a society to where they can pay their bills, where they don't have to then go prey upon others and beat the crap out of them and like steal, right, their material wealth. They can actually be paid, and maybe that like $15 an hour, dude. That's so pathetic. That is so pathetic, dude. Like minimum wage with the amount, like the richest country in the history of the world, dude. Minimum wage should be like $20 an hour or more, dude. Like we need to make sure that people can actually have kids. Like, dude, people have. Yeah, you want to stop abortion, so do I. Do you know what causes abortions? Economics. Oh, 1 out of 4 women worldwide, actually, sorry, countrywide, coast to coast, um, will have an abortion. Overwhelmingly, those women already have kids. It's an economic argument. If you want to stop abortion, let's get some money into the freaking paychecks and into the bank accounts of freaking working class people. And then you know what? Teachers, man. Yeah, you know what? During the pandemic, my God, I learned what it is to have to try to teach my kid at home. Dude, it was maddening. It was hard. Hell do I know? Dude, it was so insane. And teachers have to then pay out of their own pocket for school supplies. Are we insane? Like this is the next level of generation that we're raising to then propel society into the future, are a bunch of kids who don't even have the resources to learn. Like no wonder we're like 20s and 30s in like math and science. It's insane. It's gross, man. And again, it's built upon a system where you've got vampires at the top that are just, they're siphoning, right? They're siphoning all the money up from the bottom, right? Because there's a lot of money to be made off the poor. You tax the poor, right? And even think of Donald Trump, man. Donald Trump, here's this guy who's like, dude, this guy's saying some stuff. That sounds very interesting. I like what he's saying. I also don't like the Clintons. All right, that's funny. That guy makes me laugh. Well, then what did he do, man? Stop the steal bullshit. Okay, so he raised $70 million. I don't know if you knew this. $70 million on Stop the Steal. But oh my gosh, guess what? On his fundraiser, it said if you donate, he can use it however he wants. He kept every damn cent, every cent. So he's talking about taxes and lowering taxes for working class people. He went to the court system and he's filing these court grievances in order to get the election overturned. That costs money. Well, guess who's paying for that? Yeah, the people who live in those counties. So he raised the taxes on those people and stole all of their money. And he's disgusting, dude. And oh, come to find out, he's also a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, oh, who didn't kill himself. Boom. Along with the Clintons, man. And so Trump is no different than the Clintons. He just talks a different game. Better at marketing for sure. And it's tiresome, man. It makes me, dude. It hurts my soul, dude. It hurts my soul to see how many people are just so taken advantage of. And I want to be able to give back, right? I mean, isn't that what it means to be a Christian? And whether I'm a secularist or not, I think I understand what it is to have a Christian ideal and outlook, of the
I don't
world.
think you should call it just give back. I think it should just be called doing good. You know, good is
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
No, no matter how we label it.
yep.
Just keep it simple. Do good.
I like that. We'll do good because God is good. And
Right.
again, if God is good, God's going to live where there is goodness.
Because you
And if
may not be
you,
in a position to give back in a way you want.
yeah,
And you might be so focused on giving back that you don't do any good.
I
So
like
just
that.
do good, man. Just do good. And whatever moment it is, each breath is a chance to do better. Each
Mm,
breath is a new experience of life because it could stop just like that.
yep.
Each thought is a new chance at life, you know, and good starts on a molecular level, man. And you just got to manifest it through your
Well,
mind, through your legs, through your mouth, and through your fingertips. And then go from there and let the chips fall where they fall, man. Because
well,
it's not you can do.
well, and now imagine like if you do good,
Because I mean,
right?
I think, hold on one second, because I think for you, I think you'd have to ask me, kind of like put me in the shoes of a politician, right? And kind of ask me that, you know what I'm saying, to get my frame of mind to kind of how I would approach things. Because for one, I know jack shit about being a politician. You know what I'm saying? And
Sure.
so I'm doing a lot of assuming
Well,
based
I
on
don't want to know what Dathan Benton thinks like as a politician. I want to know what you think of as a 21 year grizzled veteran, of the army, who's a working class guy, who's got a very just kind of,
but I think the only
I
way to
think,
do that is what would I say if I was a politician? Because I'm going to naturally tell you what I would want the person that
okay,
represents me to do.
that's fine. Well, and the thing is, um, y it's good that you recognize that you know nothing about what it is to be a politician. Um, because you should want what you want, but you should also be negotiable on how you get there, right? Because just because you want it, if you don't know how the F to get it, well, then how are you going to demand that it can only be made manifest in the way that you demand it be made manifest, right? We've got to be open to how it can actually be
I understand how
creatively
politics
accomplished.
work. I understand how politics work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know enough to what to complain about and what not to complain about. You know, that's why I don't do a
Like
lot of
what?
fucking complaining. Like I said, that's why I don't do a lot of complaining.
Okay, but if you were to complain, like what sort of things would you complain about?
All of my needs are met.
Oh, come on, dude. Like existential. Like say, look around, look at your family, and what are the things that they aren't, having met, right? So what sort of thing? If you were to complain, if Dathan Benton was going to complain, what would you complain about? Your face is off camera
So
as
I'm
you're
really
thinking.
fucking thinking, man.
Okay, fair enough.
I
Um,
try to complain about shit I can't control. And as an individual citizen, day to day, there's not a lot out there that I can control. You know, so to be honest, man, I really don't. I don't think
okay.
about the world at large.
So what would you? So instead of complain, let's maybe rephrase this. If you could change something that you could see that would bring good to your fellow man,
Mhm.
how would you like to see that made manifest?
That's a better question.
Yeah, you like that?
Yes, wording matters, man.
Yeah, it does. It does. I appreciate that, man. I
Wording
really
matters.
appreciate. Yeah, I agree. I like
Um,
being. I like being focused on that positivity. But anyway, yeah. Answer the question. Damn it.
um, so now that I can answer. One would be education.
Mm,
Uh, I think, and it's strange because society is going so much towards technology
hmm
that you know being physically fit is no longer going to be a requirement to provide a living. You're not going to have to lift heavy shit. You're not going to have to walk and carry heavy things because robots are going to do that. However, it's been scientifically proven that exercise and sunshine and all of those things lead to happier life
hmm
and things like that. So it's kind of like society where we are advancing, and as a result, we're being pulled along when necessarily we shouldn't be. because, you know, schools could get back to playing and stuff like that, and teachers are paid more to play. You know, now they're just being paid to show up. You
Right.
know, they're not. They're just being paid to teach.
Mm-hmm.
Information. That is all they're doing, is putting out information. They're pretty much turned into briefers now. You know, they
Yeah.
give briefings so to incentivize the teachers, to incentivize education. It's not based on the outcome of testing scores, but on the outcomes of, you know, kind of how kids' lives are impacted overall. You know, we talk all of this stuff about mental health and blah blah blah, but how are we actually rewarding it? You know, when we pull all these metrics and everything, we can show all these, you know, thresholds and all of this and ebbs and flows about mental health and how it positively or negatively affects society. You know, politicians, what are we doing to reward those that are doing the hard work to do shit the right way? You know,
So
how
you
are
know,
we going
you know,
back
you,
to the mental health phenomenon?
you know what I like about that a lot is that if you pay a teacher well, right, you don't overwhelm them and give them a classroom full of 50 students, right? You give them a classroom of like, I don't know, 25 max, maybe. You pay them, I don't know, maybe, you know, depending on like if they're living in like New York City, I don't know, maybe pay them 150,000, you know, same thing as like San Francisco, right? Though it's crazy, but like otherwise, right here in Utah, yeah, maybe pay him 75 grand, man. Pay him a really good upper middle class salary. Don't overwhelm them with kids. And you know, mental health, man. Can you think of anything better for your mental health as a kid as having a teacher, a mentor who's not overly stressed, who can actually give you meaningful feedback and encouragement, and then help you feel good. Hold on, help you feel good within your accomplishment. And as you're accomplishing something, you walk away feeling like, dude, I freaking did that. I mean, is there anything better for you and your headspace for feeling like, dude, I did that?
I have like two kind of scenarios, right? So
Mhm.
for one, as adults, you know, regardless of what your profession is, right? Do I want my kid, do I want to work 8 hours a day around a boss, around an authority figure that is stressed? Why would I want my
No.
children to spend 8 hours a day around somebody who is stressed?
Right.
You know, because you know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, as adults, we're so quick to realize our toxic environment, toxic work environment, or whatever, and quick to do something about it. But when it comes to our children, we don't do that. And there's a few, and it's not easy. I mean, it's not hard to fix. We just need to pay the teachers.
I
You know,
agree.
one, pay the teachers and kind of like the military. You know, look, you got to perform. You know, and like, you know, I think that's one thing that I love about the military is that it exposes me to so many different ways of leadership, so
Hmm.
many different ways to identify talent, reward talent, and respectfully see those who can't keep up to the door in a
Right.
dignified way, you know, and to send them out to the door like, you know, all right, you're on your own, but to send them out with a plan to
Hmm.
succeed beyond teaching, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because,
Yep.
you know, but, you know, I think, you know, once we pay the teachers, you know, we have to figure out a way to teach people to find the strength within themselves, you know, like, you know, and I think, you know, that should be in part of education. Because check this out. I was thinking, right? Imagine how many people washed out of basic training because that was the first time they've ever been exposed to any kind of just real,
There's a
you
bunch.
know, conflict, right?
There's a
Now,
bunch of
just
mine.
imagine if 2 weeks before basic training, you know, as a new basic trainee or whatever, for 2 weeks, you were slowly exposed to these hardships, but you were also exposed to journaling and given the tools to dig deep within yourself to
Mm.
endure physical and mental discomfort. Because
Mhm.
that's all it is discomfort. So you
Mhm.
would give a 2 week period with people who taught you how to rewire your brain as into what you perceive discomfort to be,
Right.
you know. Now just imagine if we kind of pull that mindset into early childhood education with all things.
In order to help kids on how to think. I like that. There's my favorite astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson, has a quote that says, those who know how to think are empowered far beyond those who only know what to think. If you know how to think, man, you can take that wherever you go. If you know what to think, well, then it only happens when, you know, you find that square peg in order for your square hole to fit over, right? Um, yeah, that's good. I like that a lot. Well, and that comes down to critical thinking, right? We got to be able to, but you can't think critically if you're overtly stressed. And if our teachers can't even pay their freaking bills, dude, and then they have kids of their own and they're going through a pandemic on top of that, man, come on, dude. And then they have a bunch of angry parents that are screaming at them about vaccines as if the teachers are like, oh, I'm going to mess with these parents. Look at this. I'm going to create this policy for this. Like, come on, dude. Like, well, it's human nature is so gross because, you know, in the same way that, you know, they teachers get attacked who are victims of the system, right? They don't get to choose what happens. Well, what happens if you even look the way that people react during riots and stuff, right? Like the riots of George Floyd, man. When businesses are getting broken into, dude, those are small business owners, man. Those are also struggling, suffering people. These aren't rich people. And so, like, the only thing we have in our public lexicon is some hulking out mechanism and just destroy that around us. And it's chaos, man. And I hope I hope I can direct some of that chaos with a little bit of order. I also leave a little bit of room of chaos, right? So I can give birth to a dancing star, right? This comes from Friedrich Nietzsche. I'm a huge admirer.
I got a quick question. Quick question.
Yeah.
Right. Regardless how you think about his politics, I think on a personal level, you know, he was very endearing. And I'm talking about Obama. Right?
I think
What
he
do you
was.
think? What do you think made him so endearing to the public, to those people who really liked him? What do you think? And the same thing with Trump. And the same thing with Trump.
The same thing that made Obama endearing, I suspect, is the same reason why Trump won election, is because if you said something that was endearing and then it was nonstop, right, produced on every single news channel over and over and over again, people are like, man, that's a pretty endearing guy. And when you've got, you know, Trump who says something outrageous, and then it's the same thing put on every news channel over and over and over again, well, then people can't help but talk about you. And I think that's why. I think it's manufactured endearment. I think it's good speech writers. I think he's a highly intelligent man.
But
I think that he's an opportunist. And because he's an opportunist, he's also an actor. And because he's an actor, he can show you what it is he wants to show you, not what he is. And so he can earnestly seek to show you what it is he wants to show you, and it comes off as endearment. And what I mean by that is, here's, you know, my homie here got a peace prize and then started 5 wars, 5 illegal wars. His drone strike program murdered civilians at a 90% rate, just blown up fucking weddings and stuff, dude. It's disgusting, man. Disgusting. Like, you know, these guys hate us for our freedom. Oh yeah, never mind the fact that we just blew up 30 people at a wedding. Yeah, that's not why they hate us. Has nothing to do with that, I'm sure.
all right, so
And
my
yeah.
spiel after all that, let me find my letter. Is because, well, I think kind of more what I was getting at is their constituents felt that, damn, this guy's talking directly to me.
Yes. Yep.
They were able to relate to the constituents. You know, that's what made them effective, regardless of how you define that.
Yep.
You know, kind of like Hitler. Regardless of what you say about him, that old joke, Hitler was an effective leader.
Yeah.
He was very effective.
Well, I mean,
wasn't as effective.
he at least
as
made people feel like they were being heard, and then he perverted the hell out of it.
But still, he was effective.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
like I
Yeah.
say, and that's what I'm
Yeah,
getting at.
Stalin was an effective leader. It's not the leader I'd want, right? Xi Jinping,
And that's
right,
what I'm
was an
saying.
effective leader. Is not the one I want.
We got to stop pussyfooting around and be
Yeah.
able to say shit is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, Hitler was an effective leader,
Yeah.
right?
I get
Regardless if he was an asshole or not, he was fucking.
it. Sure, man. Yeah, I get it.
That's debatable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what's not debatable is he was effective. You
Right.
know, the same way that Trump was effective because the dude didn't do 2 terms because he wasn't able to relate to people.
So
That's what that's what
Trump
makes
was
them.
effective at marketing, but he was not very effective as president. And
But
what's so funny about him and so nobody no, and I get that this is a gross generalization when I say like nobody.
I'm not talking about political maneuvering and that kind of stuff. I'm just talking about kind of how they drive the inner thoughts of people, how they connect, and
Yeah,
how
his messaging.
like what really made like families split over this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, and now consider how they manipulate people, right? So he runs on like the most important issue is build the wall, build the wall. So what did he do, right? In the first 2 years where Republicans owned the House of Representatives, owned the Senate, owned the president, and they
I
well,
don't
hold on. They could have steamrolled legislation right through to build the wall, build the wall. You know what they didn't do? They didn't build the wall. Why? Well, they had no intention of building that wall. Why? Because, well, hold on. They knew at some point, right? The pendulum always swings, right? Republicans win, Democrats gonna, then mess that up. So then the Democrats then flipped the House. So then what do they do? Well, then when they had no realistic way of passing legislation, that's when they started introducing legislation for the wall. So then they can look like the Democrats are a bunch of obstructionists rather than the Republicans are just a bunch of bad faith actors. And not all Republicans, right? But in this case, right, anyone who's saying in executive power that they're going to build the wall, or anyone supporting him, like Ted Cruz, right? And so these are just bad faith actors that they bum me out, man, and they take advantage of starving people.
Ask a politician,
Do
right?
what?
This is a question I've always wanted to ask a politician. Why do we import and export when we can do it all by ourselves? Because there was a point when America did not mess with anybody, when we were neutral.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, look, they're our friends, but right now it's them. We ain't getting in it. And then
Eisenhower warned us about that, man.
Right, like he warned us about it, and like I say, I get it because the whole like American interest. Because if you don't protect your interests, then all of a sudden your interests fall into somebody else's hands,
Sure.
and then you're surrounded on all sides.
Yep.
So kind of how I get it, but at the same time, there has to be a reason why we have to do something about outsourcing labor.
I agree.
Because
Absolutely.
as long as somebody is making a shoe in China instead of America, we are taking money out of America's mouth.
Oh, 100%, dude. And what's even worse than that, man, is
I
that
just understand how this shit's been able to go on for so fucking long. And if they want to restore American economy, then you have to invest in American economy via American labor.
yeah. And
That
on top of that, it's not just the labor, right, that we're outsourcing, but because we are, kind of some shit turds, right, to people, we'll have a lot of countries who are very smart who will pay for an H1B visa for their citizens, right? People from India, people from Pakistan, people from Iran who are very smart, right? This is the genius visa. They'll come here, they'll get 10 years of education and then take it right back home, and they're building the technology of the future. Hold on. And then you get a case where India, right, as of, I don't know what, 6-7 years ago, something like that, I have to look it up, sent a rocket ship, right, a freaking probe to freaking Mars, man. That costs less than $80 billion, man. That costs less than a freaking like F-35. Um,
And
and
to
so
bring it to
granted,
a
it was a
macro
hold on,
level,
hold on. So granted, it was a cheap orbit, but the thing is we're being stupid. We're being stupid, and you're right. We need to have labor here as well. We need to have manufacturing here. There's a lot of things that we can do here and manufacture here, and we're now succumbing. Right, antibiotics. Most antibiotics are in China. Most of the microprocessors are made in China, and so China could really squeeze us out, and we could be hurting if we don't really get with it.
and to bring it to a macro level, you remember everybody remembers Katrina,
Yeah.
right? Well, I was at Katrina for 45 days as part of the relief efforts with General Honore and Command Sergeant Major Marvin Hill, who
Hmm.
commanded, who was the Command Sergeant Major for 101st at one point.
Oh
And
wow, that's cool.
he was also General Petraeus' right hand man for a long time.
Hmm.
General Petraeus was the 101st commander, and Command Sergeant Major Hill was his Command Sergeant Major. Anyway, but anyway, while I was there, as preventive medicine, our job was to go down there to test the water, to test the air, to test the soil, you know, um, offer suggestions on environmental cleanup and disposal of you know regulated medical waste and waste altogether, just anything to do with the environment and the health and safety of anybody.
Hmm.
You know, so I mean, we rode from one side of New Orleans to the other, Slidell. I mean, just I went across that shaky ass Pontchartrain Bridge so many times.
Hmm.
It was like any fear I've ever had of a wobbly bridge, it's done.
Just gone, huh?
Done. But anyway, but I saw it, right there. I experienced how, people from all over North America came down to New Orleans. I mean, they descended on New Orleans like fucking locusts. I mean, like, I met people from Canada who drove all the way down to New Orleans to soak up the money selling food. I mean, running a food truck,
Jesus Christ.
taking all that money, going right back up to Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, people from Montana, just all over, just coming down with water tankers. So getting all that money from the government or whoever's paying people money
Hmm.
and money everywhere. You know what I didn't see? Very many people from New Orleans. Didn't see many people from New Orleans cleaning up and helping their own city. Everybody was getting paid on the outside to come in, get that money, and take it and invest it back everywhere else but fucking New Orleans. And what was New Orleans getting behind it? Instead of their people getting money, their small businesses getting money, they were giving government handouts instead.
Yeah, dude, the government's supposed to help you where you can't help yourself, right?
Right. Well, go ahead.
Oh no, what was your thought? You're gonna finish your thought?
Dark in here.
Yeah, it's getting dark.
No, I'm in my tool shed. Um, But no, but I was just saying, yeah, I think the government is supposed to help you out, but I also think if it's going to help you out, it should teach you how to fish, not give you fish.
Yeah,
And I feel
100%, man.
because I think
Yeah, yeah.
because
There's
I
no
think
handouts. There's
right
no
instead of putting the
handouts.
people on the buses, no, 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 no. Instead of letting all these foreigners come in and stay in all the hotels and the casinos that are still gambling, no. Who here has a small business that was lost? Who here has a car dealership, a
Yeah.
ranch, a golf course, or whatever? You know what? You can send your families off. But you men or women that want to stay and help and bring your businesses back, that you have a store that you lost, well, guess what? You stay here, we're gonna clean this shit up together, and I'm gonna put the money in your damn bank account. Not these
Dude.
fucking foreigners.
Yeah. For real, man. Well, and then in Utah, man, dude, we've got Native American tribes that have got like lead in their soil, right? That still have to burn um fires, right? They've got like a what do you call it? Those coal, like a coal stove.
Mhm.
Man, or they'll throw wood in there, a wood fire stove, right? That's terrible, terrible for your lungs, man. Dude, we don't. When I went overseas in the army, I was told that the point of going to war, the point of going overseas is to fight for my rights. And the point of fighting for my rights is that there's civilians that are, and I volunteered to be a guardian to these civilians. And now come to find out that we just throw civilians on the refuse heap, man. And like, if they're supposed to be that which is most valuable, and we just throw them on the refuse heap, well, what the hell was it that we even did, man? Like, what the hell are our goals? Like, what are we doing, man? Like, what are we doing? Like, what is the point of American politics? Like, what is the point of everything that we say that we do? What is the point of saying that we're Christian if the only thing that we do is just sacrifice everybody for the here and now, even our own goals, and then we're left in just this nihilistic, tumultuous sea, and we gnash our teeth at everyone, man. What are we doing? It's gross. It's freaking gross. And so I hope I can help be a beacon of light, man, within this gross darkness, because people need help, dude. Like, I've been able to figure out a way to become massively successful within this hellscape.
I have a question.
And I want to be able to give back some
What
goodness.
can you do in the meantime before you even, get on the trail, so to speak?
So right now, the plan, I just hired my data guy. I like him a lot so far. He's a nerd like me, which makes me very happy. I also came with it from a data background, so a lot of what he was saying made a lot of sense. On Friday, I do have a big wig dinner, a Lincoln dinner, where I'm going to go meet people, try to work the room a little bit. I hired a guy from Pakistan to create videos. Did you watch my video on how to on the greatest idea of goodness of which I can conceive? If not, you should watch that. I'll send it to you. But I hired him to make that for me. And then he's trying to make another one for me. He's gonna help manage my YouTube channel as well as TikTok. I just recorded about, I don't know, about 30 different, just quotes that are very meaningful to me. I was going through these quotes and I was like, you know what, Dathan accused me of being a Stoic, and maybe he's right. But yeah, man, I'm looking to really get out there. I'm looking really to market. I hope I can help people, or rather help reach people who often just find no reason to even give a shit about politics. Magic the Gathering nerds, Pokemon, you're right, players, bronies, right? Whatever, man. Let's work together. Like, let's figure out a way. Like our politics are so broken because the system has convinced you that your vote doesn't matter. Like, do you think that these politicians would spend billions and billions of dollars on these campaigns if your vote didn't matter? Like, I get that they're stupid, but they're not that stupid. Oh, looks like we lost Dathan. I'm going to pause. Oh, I'm not going to pause. Hey, you're back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine, man. It's okay. And so, yeah, dude, I hope that I can direct a righteous anger, right? I hope that if there's anything that I can do for the self-empowerment of my constituents, is to direct a righteous anger that can lead to helping the material conditions of just the average citizen, man. Because if
Dude,
we
just
all
do
do
exactly
better,
what
we all do better.
do exactly what Trump did, man. Disrupt the system, but do it for right. No, I don't want to say for righteousness because that's a
Goodness.
yeah,
I'm doing it through goodness.
yeah, for goodness, excuse me. And I think that's I don't know. I like I said, I don't know nothing about being a politician. I know about politics, but not being a politician.
Sure.
I don't know if that's a good thing to run on. It's just look, I just want to fucking do good. I got everybody's interest at heart.
I
So
I
obviously some you align with more than others, but
yeah,
I think it's just a lot of people feel like, why should I feel like I have to choose one or the other, or you know what I mean?
sure.
Like even if, it's kind of like as if say like with Biden and Trump. You know what I mean? It was literally, to me, it felt like a 50-50 thing. It was like all or nothing. Like, either you get everything, you know what I mean? It was
Well,
like
and like what's crazy about like Biden and Trump.
it was just like split down and it was like so much that I disliked about both of them that I just really did not give a rat's ass.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Because it's like,
yep,
it's just more, I'm tired of that choosing the lesser of two evils.
yep,
I'm sick of hearing that.
yep.
I'm
So
I'm
am I.
I'm sick of hearing
Yep,
choose. I want to
yep.
be like, no, it's clear cut. That one, easy,
Yeah, yeah. I want somebody. I
easy.
want to give somebody something good to vote for, not
Yeah,
the lesser of two evils, but
right.
something good.
Like
What's
he's not
funny
voting
about
for my, and I
Biden?
think it's like he's not voting for my interests. This dude is voting for my for me. I'm
Yeah.
not voting for my interests. I'm voting for like fucking just the sake of humanity. You know what I mean? Like somebody who
Oh, and not
returns
just my
humanity.
own. Yeah.
Right. Somebody who
Yeah.
is returning humanity to politics because it's no longer about humanity.
Right. Yeah.
Humanity is truly just to me, it's a buzzword. When like everything is a damn buzzword. And it's just like nobody's just running to be a good damn person.
Well, I mean, I'm looking to change that, man. And if
My
I'm
vote's out.
successful, well, if I'm successful, I think I can really show a meaningful way for others. I certainly have the money now to start a pack. What I need to do is hire a fundraising manager. I'm just now getting this together. Like I literally just hired my data guy on Friday, just now getting this together. I'm going to meet him on Friday at this dinner. He's getting me in touch with a campaign manager. Um, and I think that I've got a real chance here. Once I get a fundraising manager, there is a pack that I'd like to create. I'm not going to say the name of it right now because I don't want somebody to take it and be like, yes. And then I am screwed. I can't put the name. But yeah, man, I think I'm in store for some surprise, right? I'm sure that there's some ideas I have that are naive, and that's fine. I'm pretty good with feedback, pretty good at learning from objective evidence. And but at the same time, dude, I want people to walk away saying, right or wrong, I feel like this guy's a good guy. And
Right.
because of that, I feel like he listens. And because of that, he's got my vote, man.
Right.
Like, and that's what I want. Like, look,
And
my
that's
ideas might be different. Yeah, my ideas might be different than your ideas, but I'm gonna look to try to govern where we overlap.
I,
I'm not gonna try and force my ideas over you, other than hey, let's love people, right?
I,
Let's
and
I
for me, man, I don't vote politics. I vote about who I feel is a better person.
Yeah,
That's me.
sure.
If you're a Republican, if you're an independent, or if you're a Democrat, it is what it is. Like I truly try to vote with who I think is the best person.
Yeah, I like it.
Even if they maybe can't get things done in my interest, at least I know they're not going against my interest.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah. They're not purposely going against my interests and selling me out, right?
right,
For it. Yeah,
right.
I get
So
that.
I just, hey, who's the best human for the damn job?
Well, and Joshua, man, I've got a name that suggests a lot of me, right? Joshua means Yeshua, right? Messiah. Um, Michael is an archangel. Cameron, dude, Cameron means crooked nose. And if a shepherd has a crook, well, that's a shepherd's crook. And so my name suggests a leader. And so maybe I should live up to my name. I think that I've tapped in to a source of goodness that's helped guide me to how I can help others. And that's ultimately what I want to do. I want to be able to see how I can make manifest a path for others to be able to find within their own lives to make manifest more goodness. And then that way we're not just saying it, right? I went to the LDS church put on a course for emotional resilience. It was every Thursday. And I went, dude. I made some of the most like meaningful connections with these people, dude. Some people are just freaking crying just about the just breaking down, just about the stress that they're dealing with. And it was so interesting because here I am, the only non-Mormon. I'm probably the only well, of course, since I'm not the only non-Mormon, I'm not Christian. I'm secular. I believe in Christ in the sense of like the archetype of the greatest person I've ever, that could ever live, right? What you're supposed to chase. Um, and at every level that I gave them permission to be safe to talk about to talk about their doubts and talk about they did, man. And they let me in. They let me in to see what's there. And then immediately the facilitator would turn around and just bring it right back into, and you could see all just the passion of what it is to be alive just dissipate and sublimate and go away. um and dude, it's nuts, it's crazy. And so I think I have a real way to reach secular and religious people. And if I can spread goodness and a bridge to connect secular and religious, I think that's a good thing, man.
I'm not in Utah. I'm not in Utah. So are those words that you have to use a lot around there?
What words?
Like secular and
I
and all of that.
Secular around here probably sets a lot of people's hackles raising, but I produce it in a way in which I think if you give me a chance, I can show you exactly what it is I mean, right? And I do it again through that video of the greatest good of which I can conceive. And it really breaks down what my idea of the greatest good is within a secular framework.
Is
Secular
that the
also
one
is a
where you
way for
did with
me
the
to
grandma?
let the well, it's also a way for me to let the atheists and the agnostics know that just because I believe in goodness doesn't mean that I then am divorcing myself from them. Just because I may not agree with or even know what it is that you believe, doesn't mean that
I
I'm
think
not still looking out for.
I think um some things are better left unsaid.
So I agree to a degree. However, also calling myself a secularist, you're gonna find that people are stupid and they're gonna be like, look at this guy. They're gonna try to attack me with it, which is what I want. I want people to attack me with it so then I can show, okay, well, what is it I believe as a secularist and what is it you believe? Let's see who sees less or more. Hey man, why don't we go ahead and end this though? Just
Yeah,
because looks like you're
yeah.
busy. And I think
Yeah.
this has been a pretty fun conversation.
All right, brother.
All right, dude.
So
Well,
bye-bye.
may the force
All
be with you,
right.
sir.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
All right, you take care.
All right, man.
Bye.